What's up? What's happening? It's Namo Kofi Joe. You're listening to The Roof is on Fire on Awakening Kinship here on the YouTube channels. I hope you like, share, subscribe. I try to do this once a month. I'm trying to get this in before the end of October because some months I'll be slipping and I really don't get it all in. This month it has been a lot of work, a lot of things happening, a lot of stress. And I got up thinking, I need to do this before the month is out, right? Get this under the belt, move on to November. I've been doing this pretty good now. I think I don't know how many of these things I did, but you know, I continue. I'm not stopping. Um, I've been doing a lot of work, a lot of things going off. Tonight, I'm going to talk about where I'm going next year, 2025, um, and how the process I use in developing these ideas, coming up with them, and moving on from one project to the next. But like as usual, first I want to get into a little geopolitics, uh, talk about some of the things that are going on in the world, and just kind of relax a little bit, get my focus right before I get started, because I can be going all over the place. And I guess the lesson today will be more on the process, how we do that, and always we're going to be related to the material conditions and realities in which we live under. All right, so let's get started. You see Kimmy back there, he chilling, he doing his thing. You see I'm empty, you don't see no canvases, you see some blank canvases, you see some things I've been working on for years, but the big thing is trying to stay creative. But there's a process that you go through to do that, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that. The politics. I guess the next time you hear from me, they're going to be actually going to be a new United States, United States of America president. Um, and I don't know what your opinion is on it all. I can give you mine, and we can move on. The elections is something that, hey, more power to those who vote. I'm glad. Hopefully, y'all vote in the person that you want, and you get that person elected, and he does or she does whatever you choose for them to do. I have my reasons not to engage or exercise my right to vote, and I'm exercising my right to not vote. Uh, Clearly, there is no defined difference between the Democrat or Republican Party. If I chose to vote, I'd probably vote for a socialist, and I really have no problem with that. The chances of them winning in a capitalist country are pretty much nil. So, I don't even want to do it symbolically, just to prove that that's what I did and go around telling folk that's what I did. It really don't matter to me. The country is headed, in the wrong direction, and that's pretty much shown by the candidates. Uh, they're spending more time talking about each other than they are talking about what they're going to do for the people. But yet, and still, the people don't mind because they like this kind of, back and forth, and somebody's better than the other, somebody's worse than the other. The other person gets a zinger in today, and the other will get a zinger in tomorrow. And throughout all of this, there's 41,000 people that have died in Gaza, and Israel is still being armed by the United States, regardless of who gets in office. And so clearly, there really is no difference. Capitalism will still be run by the oligarchs, and we won't have a say in basically anything other than who is going to get to represent them. And I'm not planning on choosing, the representative of capitalism. They don't serve me. They have never served me. I was bringing this point up about slavery and how we have been moved out of an economic system of slavery into an economic system of capitalism. And the people who benefited the most from the system of slavery uh, were also the forerunners or the industrialists or the change makers in the way this system operates. And we are in a constant battle of trying to make this system function in a way for all people. But if you go back and look at the way the system was designed, it stole land from the indigenous people. It enslaved a large portion of the working class and ended up creating a system where the science and the financing of it and the health of it, is all determined by profit margins. These attempts at trying to humanize a system that was never built to humanize people have created a even greater problem because you first had to convince people that somehow or another they're in their belief in the system that this wasn't, that this was a land of the free and the home of the brave. Uh, and they, basically parade that around the world and have people fighting for them around the world and representing them around the world under this lie. We're getting ready to celebrate in this country uh, Thanksgiving. Really, really, they celebrate Thanksgiving. I don't celebrate it at all. But the other problem with that is that you're having a holiday set on a date where you stole the land from the indigenous people. Let's don't go. I'll wait till November to deal with that subject, and we can deal with December when December rolls around as well. But the bigger problem is that uh, when you come to truth and justice, um, it's basically somebody else's truth and somebody else's justice, and those are usually the determining factors on who wins and who loses. And I like to represent the people at the bottom, the grassroots, people that are struggling the most. I was reading something else this week, and it was talking about 88 million African Americans are below the poverty line. Now, you would think we've been here the longest, like a lot of folk claim, but yet and still, we are suffering in a larger percentage than most people in this country. I would defer the fact of what has happened to the indigenous people, meaning that they were genocidally removed from this country. But then again, there's still a large percentage of even them that are below the poverty line. And just as there is Hispanics, just as there is Asians, just as any other group other than whites who are below the poverty line, but based on their numbers or have the lowest percentage of those who are under the poverty line, and they have the largest population. So that 8 million or so Africans who live in America who are under the poverty line almost amounts to the amount of Africans that were brought over here on slave ships. And you would think that after, uh, what is it now? You're talking almost 150 years, I would say, that the Africans were so-called freed, and we celebrating Juneteenth, that there would have been a lot more effort being made to uh, recompensate not only the Africans who were in slavery, but the people the land that they stole these people from, which also suffer, are in the same kind of dire situation based on the slave trade, African slave trade, the Arab slave trade, the European slave trade. It really don't matter what title or identity you put on it. It was still a ideological war against people, and it stole the not only the material riches of those lands, but it also told the material people of those lands and put them in situations where now they come to believe that they're not African anymore. Well, I go back and forth with people even on that question because uh, everything about colonialism was designed to give a interpretation based on somebody being inferior and somebody being superior. And the fact that they could say that we were separated on different continents, on different lands, and different locations also added to that whole colonization. And, colonialism is also something that we tend to forget that existed along with slavery. You have economic systems that evolve out of other economic systems. Well, colonialism actually is I wouldn't say it's so much an economic system. I would say it's more of a political system, and that under colonialism, there was a lot of other type of economic interests. And that economic interest was like slavery, capitalism, imperialism, Zionism, basically uh, these interests became economic means for colonialism. And I could be a little confused with all that. That might sound a little, you know, just I don't even have the right word for it, but it might not all sink. But the bigger part of it is that um, colonialism is actually a satellite state of a larger imperial empire that basically dictates and tells what the colonial power what to do. And as you know, throughout history, there's been a lot of revolts in colonies, and colonies have gained their own independence, freed from their empire or their emperor's rule. But they didn't, after that colonization, go on to create something that was more beneficial to the people. More than likely, they spent that time uh, creating their own havoc and their own problems, and basically uh, a result of what had happened in colonialism. So you have now today these neo-colonialist states. You have these uh, economic interests that are still based in supplying exports and imports to the mother country, basically European countries, um, who somehow can dance around the idea that they're no longer their colonies, and they're no longer uh, they don't run these countries any longer. But when you also take a deeper dive into it, these economic interests are not even tied to these countries anymore, but they're tied to uh, these individuals who have gained so much economic power that they can decide basically how much you get paid, where you're going to live, how you're going to live, what you're going to eat, when you're going to take a trip, uh, what kind of car you're going to drive, um, what type of politics you're going to subscribe to. And you might think that you have some kind of freedom of choice in those matters, but under a capitalist system, when everything is divided up into uh, dictatorships, whether it be that McDonald's boss at the manager, or whether it be, CEO of Microsoft. Um, there's all these levels of law and order that we're going to restrict you, basically on what you can buy, what you can't buy. What if you steal something, if you break something, if you, you know, take too much, you can go to prison and jail, which is another part of the system that is a little idiotic. Because how is it that a country that was stolen from a people who murdered people to put it in it can hold the largest institutions of incarceration? Does that make any kind of sense? You would think that this country would have paid a mighty price for its atrocities and its crimes against humanity. But it walks around like it's able to take what other it's dropping bombs on people and not only dropping bombs. I should say there are dropping bombs, but actually they give bombs to other people to drop on and try to act like they had nothing to do with it. But the bottom line is they were built here. They paid the company that built the bombs, millions and billions of dollars. And we look at it as in a kind of a I don't know, an abstract way. You would have to be the picture of it would have to be abstract. It's an abstraction to believe that somehow or another this all makes sense. That there's something um, vital in keeping America going. America dropped bombs on Japan. It's dropped bombs, all around the world. It's deadly. You know, uh, Vice President Harris called America the most lethal. We have the most lethal military on the face of the earth. And as a badge of honor, you know, she wasn't saying that like she was against that. She was saying that like, you know, I'm packing, you know, and I'm packing, you know, I'm coming hard. I'm rolling into the hood hard, you know. Don't play with me, okay? And so we have this mentality after what's almost 250 years of somehow or another this society is a shining light on the hill. We are supposed to be the beacon for democracy, and from the commercials to the sports to the propaganda is heavy here. I mean, it is hard to resist. I don't blame a lot of folk who come out here just staying confused, because without the proper education, without the proper knowledge, without the proper, hard line position, um, yeah, you definitely will be coming out of this thing twisted. Okay, I mean twisted all the way up. Okay, because there ain't nothing that the system is telling you that ain't filled with a bunch of lies. Okay, you know, even if it's telling the truth, it ain't telling the truth. You see my dog back there, Kimmy, Kimmy, Kimmy. I'm trying to have a little something here. Can you take it? Can you be cool? Can you relax? Just relax for a little bit. I know you turn in circles and everything, but it's probably because what I'm saying. But just chill out. Okay, good. Thank you. But yeah, this you know, I have some serious issues with what America calls freedom. Matter of fact, I would let they can have that word. They can go on and keep it, because as far as I'm concerned, whatever they think or define as freedom, uh, it ain't got nothing to do with freedom. Or in their words, yes, it does. I'd rather choose another word, which is called liberation, because we definitely need to be liberated from this country. I mean, to the point where there's this country just and its actions and its ideas are just subverted. There's nothing healthy. I've been trying to lose weight. I've been working on that. Been staying away from all the fast food and the garbage that they've produced here. And I've seen results. I'm almost to the point now where I'm convinced that they're trying to kill us out here. Okay. I mean, in every aspect of it, in the food that we eat, in the healthcare, don't let me get started talking about the healthcare I've been having. Um, it is just insane, and they do it all with a smile and all with an idea that somehow or another they're saying, no, what you talking about? What you mean? Look at the bright side. Look at the horizon. The sun keeps coming up. But I mean, just economically, I've been put in a situation that, you know, I'm actually supposed to leave from the people that I'm most associated with, because they are not on your level now, and you need to be at a different level with people. But if I was to chose to do that, I'd have to go sit with some white folk, and for a lot of us, that's a goal. Matter of fact, they wonder why I didn't go out. Why I ain't out there? Because you there, you right there with them, and you know, uh, tomorrow's Halloween, and I can remember when I was like in junior high school. Um, you know, I was gonna dress up for Halloween, and I got this idea that I was gonna dress up as a hobo. Hobo is kind of like a homeless person. They live on the railroad. And I always remember them having a little stick with a little bag on the back, and had a old dusty hat. Heavy, long, heavy coat. You know, pants, worn out shoes, dirty, stanky. And I was gonna go to school as as a hobo. But I can even remember how embarrassing I felt about thinking that that was a costume, and how I thought that somehow or another, it wasn't funny, but it was, because I thought in some ways, you know, um, that was gonna be that was my costume, you know, and I don't think I fully wore it or fully, went out like I wanted to in it. But when I got older, probably more than that around the now at this period in my life, did I start to realize that that kind of a image was something I didn't want. It was a costume, like you wear a costume of something that you can only wear for one day, and you feel like you want to take that off and go back to your real life, And um, that was kind of like that kind of costume. It was kind of like, yeah, I want to wear that for one day, but I don't ever want to be no hobo, you know, you know. But some people have costumes that I guess they wish they could be, knowing that they really can't, but they wish they could be. I was always looking at the hobo as somebody I know I can be if I don't get my act together, right? But I think it kind of motivated me, to the point where I didn't want to end up like that. I didn't want to end up on the streets. I didn't want to end up depending on other people. Uh, you know, Kimmy and Kimmy, sit down. And I knew that being a hobo was at the time it was funny. It was something I thought was interesting choice of costumes. It was middle school, and I know middle school, kids are really hard on each other, and so I tended to. Uh, I think around after that time, I stopped wearing costumes for Halloween anyway. But that was probably one of the last ones I wore till maybe when I got older, and I think then I wore a Rastafari wig or something. But I wasn't ever really into you know living outside myself. I didn't think I needed it. I didn't think I needed a costume. But yeah, I think that really motivated me um, to try to make something out of my life other than riding the railroad tracks. And I have to say that this system kind of underperforms in the manner of teaching children that really need it um, what to be or what they can be. Because I think in some ways it has to sort of fit into the way the system is designed. And if you choose to be something outside of the system and the way the system operates, which it should be a possibility, that it's not um, valued or it's not promoted or recognized. And I think for a lot of us, we're hampered by that. But yeah, so that's kind of like my political education, and I know it got a little, more into philosophy and you know less about the current events. But and there's so many but they all kind of point to, you know, that kind of confusion of colonialism. And that brings me to my topic, or I guess not my topic, my lesson for tonight. And so I'm really excited about next year. I just got finished doing a show, had about six paintings in the show. One of them sold, at the price that I wanted it sold for. And, it was a print, and it was something that I think the person really enjoyed looking at it, and really, I'm glad she got it. And but also, I made my money back. I put out, a certain amount of good chunk of money to put this event on, and not to make a lot of money, but to at least get the money that I put in back. And I was successful in that. I had about 50 people show up for the event. I wish there were more. I really thought that I put about 8 months in of planning, and without a lot of help or support. And I got a little bit of help, and I have to thank the people that, the artists that came through, the vendors that came through, the DJ, the host, the African American Museum. A lot of people really helped me out with this, and I appreciated that, because I know I couldn't have done it without them. And but like overall, I think I'm gonna have a nice video to show of the event. And like overall, I think it was a great event. The videographer, and I made some really good relationships with some people since I've been down here in Texas for the last 7 years. And I think that helped. Because I think from my years of experience of organizing events, I was able to bring that to the table along with people that were willing to go along with me and willing to, put this on. And I met them right where they were at. And like I said, I think, the question is whether I'm going to do it again, because like I said, it was a lot of work. But the Underwater Craft Show is over. It is done. It was a great event. And I was hoping to get this little video in before this event, but that didn't happen. But I really put a lot of work into this, okay? And I knew that when it was over, because when it was over, I was like drained, and I'm just now recovering from that. Here it is, almost 5 days later, and now I have to start thinking about something else I want to do, which I'm getting old. I turned 65 last month, and shit, it's starting to hit a brother, hard. Okay. But yeah, so next year, or really I'm starting this year, but I'm going to develop an idea of work called Decolonializing the Space. Decolonializing the Space. Take me to the next phase. And it is kind of like all of the art that I've done since I was probably 17, is kind of coming full circle with this exhibit. This exhibit is something that when I was around 17, I started asking questions like, why is the world the way it is? And I did this painting of this futuristic world. And I think I'm going to use that in part of this exhibit. But that picture was called Chocolate City. And out of that idea, I can't even remember back then in them days, I was like, what if we lived in a world where there was like no boundaries, no identity, there was just people working for the good of people, and it took me, I would say, what is it, 48 years, to realize what were the barriers, what were the things that were preventing something like that of happening. And so I've come to the conclusion that we still live in a world of colonialism. And if we can decolonialize this space, we can take our souls to the next phase. And the reason why I say take our souls to the next phase, or take my soul to the next phase, is there was a song entitled Take Me to the Next Phase by the Isley Brothers back in 1978, 79. That was right before they started falling off the charts. But 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 that song hit. That song made that. But people couldn't understand. Well, what? At least I did. I couldn't understand what does that song mean. You know, what are they talking about? Take me to the next phase. Take my soul to the next phase. And that song used to be, like it was nice. It was really nice. But I think it's not up until maybe last week or the week before that I really started realizing what did that song, what they really talking about, or at least what did I interpreted that song to mean, right? And what was like the hard part for me to realize is that we have lived in a patriarchal world, right? A world that's been defined by men, and even women tend to operate in it, whether they choose to or not. But men build their comfort and their care off of this system, and their soul. They're like, what's that song say? Uh, my soul rests in this system, right? And so, if your soul is resting in this system, I got to write this down, but I got it on tape, so that'll be just as good. But if your soul is resting in this system, then it will never get to the next phase. Oh, that's good. I like that. I like that. If your soul is resting in this system, meaning that it's getting all the comfort and care that it needs, it almost works against you to want to believe that there is a next phase. And this work that I'm going to be working on is disrupting this space, right? This decolonializing the space, right? And regardless of how much comfort and care that I've been provided in this system as a man, right? That the only way we are going to truly get liberated as a people is if we take this to the next phase. And what is the next phase? The question that really needs to be answered is that there has to be a total liberation of the mindset of people. That means that, and I've seen this, that there are systems in place that are so destructive to the way we think that, well, let me go back a minute, because I just got finished with this underwater craft show, right? And I can remember even with this show and with this idea, there are many people that just gravitated to it. They enjoyed it. They loved the idea. They got it. And that was like, wow, I didn't have to say a word. They just, those who chose to see, they got that. Then there were others that really wrestled with this. They were struggling, to the point like, man, why are you even standing around? And what I realized is there were more people like that. I try to act like the few that I ran into the guy that were the keys. But in actuality, they were they were in the minority. They the majority of folk was like, what in the hell are you talking about? Underwater craft show. And I think that's where I really kind of I wasn't really looking at it properly. And like I said, out of this month, this whole idea about decolonializing the space and taking my soul to the next phase kind of came out of. So this idea when I say, uh, if let's say that I was in the next phase and people came up to me and said, "Oh, I want to have an underwater craft show," they would say, "Oh, okay, I get it. You want to talk about what happened before empire, right? That there were people that chose that they didn't want to be a part of empire. that they wanted to make sure that their soul was intact. That they was like this the same. Uh, uh, this is another new word that have been popping up. They were part of the permaculture, right? They were just part of the natural state of being, right? With animals, with nature. There was no conquest, there was no domination. It was just peace. And you had your little dust up, but they got settled. They got the people did not go to war, right? But anyway, so this whole idea of a next phase, for me, and I'm sorry about Kemet, but he got to get his sleep on. But for me, is that right? Is how to this whole futuristic idea that I had came up with when I was like 17 was, that at the time there was a movie called Star Wars, you know, and all I could think about was like, damn, we gonna still be doing this, in the future, and that's kind of like what the movies kind of taught me, is that capitalism ain't gonna die. We gonna be doing this while we got light ships. Come on, y'all. That can't be right. But so it was like star peace, right? Like, cause I felt the only way we truly was gonna get to light speed and to inhabit the universe was through peace, or some word similar to that derives that, but this whole idea that evil is going to just keep, rising, and we're going to have to keep battling the forces of evil, it didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me, And but like I said, so this whole idea of a next phase, and then when we look at when a lot of colonial, with a lot of colonial structures failed, damn, or at least attempted to dismantle themselves, like, because like I said, we're still in a state of decolonialization, right? And some of us believe that we're far more decolonialized than others. But I can't, if we're talking about what we need to do with colonialism, then any form of colonialism anywhere is a direct in opposition to what we need to do and to decolonialize. But the thing is that we have a world where uh, everything is commodity. Everything is a commodity. Everything is run under a capitalist kind of mindset. Even countries that are trying to operate in the world without it have to still abide by the concepts of capitalism because of its dominant, economic, grip on the world. It's like an octopus, right? But the idea that we can create a new world, even when I say new world, there's connotations, but because everything about what we have to do, it has to be reevaluated. We can't. I believe we can't speak uh, the languages that we use, right? Or even if we do use the languages that we use, they have to be incorporated into a newer language that is communicated across, every boundary that has been created, so that we can all see things in the same way, or at least understand things in the same way, and make things real simple, you know, break it down to the ideas of, family, uh, housing, clothing, food, you know, the basic necessities. I believe that, there'll still be entertainment. I still believe that there'll still be, you know, whatever spiritual belief you want to have, you know. But I also believe that they don't interfere with others. There's no um, better or worse. There's no good guys and bad guys. There's people that love peace. And but the potential with that is the technology that we could bring. I mean, I always thought about the amount of people that go malnourished in this world, or the amount of people that go without some basic education, that a lot of us take for granted. And I also go for the fact that if people just had lived in some decent shelter, right? Uh, how that would affect their mind, or their children's mind, or their understanding of other people around them, and not to be envious of them or jealous of them or just enraged because of them, you know. And you know, this might sound unreasonable to folk. This might sound like what are you talking about? You know, but in actuality, I don't. If we are anything in this universe, then there is nothing that should become between us. I don't know of any other. We haven't gone as far in the universe, but I don't believe that there's any other more warring planet in this universe than Earth. And I think it's due to our lack of understanding of the universe, or our lack of understanding of what energy could be used for. And I don't even like the idea when people say, "Oh, well, eventually we'll get it." We're gonna wait another 100, 200 years before we finally figure it out. Um, I don't go with that neither. I don't know if we got that kind of time. And matter of fact, if it is going to happen naturally, then the way we're going about it, we're going to create so much chaos and confusion in the you know ecosphere, ecosystem, ecological system, that we're going to kill each other off before we can kill each other off. Nature's going to kill us all before uh, we kill each other off. Because it's kind of like that happening now with the way, for a lot of people, for the way we eat, the things that we consume on a regular. We have to slow down and really take a look at the damage that we've done to the environment, the damage that we've done to women, you know, what the damage I've done to women, right? How do I redefine myself in this world and really live into it? Those are the kind of questions that I have that are going to be coming forth with this next series of work. Um, I don't know if I really fully talked about the process that I put in to creating these series of paintings, but this one is definitely going to be a lot different. This one I'm going to actually go back to a period of time when I just got out of San Jose State University, where I was trying to be real disciplined. I was trying to be real focused. But at that time, it was hard because I didn't have no money, and I needed some money. I needed a job, and I needed to survive. And so I had the techniques down, but I just didn't have the financial support to continue. And I don't, like as I think back on it, I might have been able to arrive at that a lot sooner if I truly believed that that's what I was going to do. But I also think I probably would have been out there on the streets for a little bit, and I don't know how how I would have managed that way neither. But definitely this work will have a lot more discipline, a lot more thought will go into each piece. There'll be smaller pieces. Um, because I believe that if I could define my work in some smaller kind of canvases, let me show you kind of some of the ideas I was thinking. All right. So you see these little, look at that. That's a little, oh, you can't see it. That's a little triangle canvas. It's a little canvas. It's a little circle canvas. It's a little square canvas, okay? And my uh, art, my futuristic world is the industrial, maintaining organization. So these are probably some of the first little things I'm gonna dabble with. But yeah, so I are going to develop the industrial maintaining organization. It is my form of decolonializing the space. Uh, and the people in it are the Imonians. And the Imonians have taken their soul to the next phase. Okay. And so it's going to be for one, it's going to be an accomplishment if I can pull it off. But the other part about that is that it's going to weave all and sew together all of the things that I've done over my life, period of life, and so it's got to be good. It can't be half-assed. It can't be, I'm already working on the images. I have a lot of the designs that I might even rework that I've done over the years. One thing that I think I will incorporate is graffiti art. That was always something that was really important to me that I never really felt like I really, had a good grasp of and control over. But I've started looking at a lot more of that, and I want to incorporate that into the work. Um, so I'm trying to develop the motifs now. So what are the motifs? I think one of the motifs will be um, this futuristic Imonian, uh, I industrial maintaining organization. Uh, the other part of that will be the graffiti kind of art that kind of goes along with the civilization or the people, and then thirdly, um, this redefining of myself. This being able to truly, even if I haven't fully lived it out my whole entire life, being able to see what those possibilities would have looked like if I grew up in a world that was different than the world that I lived in. I'm not blaming the world that I live in for what I turned out to be, because I did have opportunities along the way to ask questions, to get answers, and sometimes I just didn't choose to do that. I just did it the way I wanted to. And like I think a lot of people do. And then they end up paying the price for those things. And I paid some prices. I've heard a lot of people's feelings, you know. But one woman said at the art show the other day, she said that it looks like you haven't made, I don't know how she actually put it, but it said she looked like you haven't made a lot of mistakes. That's somebody who hasn't made a lot of mistakes. And that could be taken in a lot of different ways. um, I don't know this person that well, so I wondered if some of her own mistakes she could see in me that were handled differently. And then what I told her was that you don't know me, and I might look like I haven't made a lot of mistakes in my life, but I have, and I paid for them. And but I also think that you know, I've done a lot of work to make sure that I didn't, you know, turn to a hobo, because that was something I think in the back of my mind I knew I could be. And I didn't want to be. So I think I tried real hard and I also felt like I tried to do it, I isolated. That was another thing this sister came up to me and she said, as men, uh, we don't do good in isolation, or at least I shouldn't say we don't do good because I think we do good in isolation. It's just few men don't think that they could survive in isolation. They need care, they need comfort. And, I have to agree that that does help. But I have spent a lot of my life in discomfort, without a lot of care. And, and I did it intentionally. I think my intent was to suffer, and always be a little dissatisfied. And, you know, in a lot of ways, because we live in such a patriarchal system, um, uh, I just wanted to be able to break away and see things a little differently because, I grew up with a father who was very entrenched in the way the system operates. I had brothers and friends, who were all entrenched in the way this was thinking. And to the point where I think I was even by other women judged by my participation in this system. And I felt a little somewhat offended behind that because they didn't know me, but I guess they did know me because I didn't see myself in it, and I've struggled with that, pretty much all my life because I refused to see myself in it, but yet and still I had to operate in it. So that made me a part of it. And that also kind of contributed to the way that people looked at me. And so that was a reality check. I had to kind of grips with that. Look at this. I'm wearing this old, you know, Nike shirt, but it ain't got nothing to do with me. But it's big time capitalism, right? And you know, they might hold it against me that I didn't give them something for not wearing their shirt. I should have covered this up. Where's it at? I should have covered this up. It's just that kind of nonsense you branded with in this country that you don't even, you can't even really effectively change. So, like I said, this I'll still do some social media, social justice work that I had planned to do, which won't be on a smaller scale. But I have envisioned this next year to be developing kind of like my capstone, you know, of the work that I've done throughout my life and how it affected me. There was a painting that I saw probably a year ago, um, and it was something called I might have mentioned this before, but there was something called the Secret to European Empire or something like that. And it was a white woman who was a queen handing a Bible to a kneeling black, kind of a Arab dude. I looked at him as being more from um, North Africa, you know, than the cradle of Africa. But it was more set in the 1400s, early empire stages, you know. And when I looked at that picture, all I could think about was, man, that picture seemed like it was so a clear representation of what the secret was, all I got to do is have this white woman convince black men that we're superior and we're giving them, we're giving you the knowledge to help you, to make you understand how superior we are, And it was done in like a little court. I guess it's a very famous painting because I saw it in a book, But the only thing I ran out of there, I ran away with that thinking that I got to create something. I got to create something that's going to be the secret for me, because that's just the way I think, You can't show me nothing and I don't look at it being opposite of it. Then I got to realize, can I tell this person that I don't see things the same way you see them? Are you going to be offended? Is there some problem? You have some problems? And most of the time, I keep it to myself, especially if I feel like I'm in company that really don't want to hear it. But the big thing is, you know, I really don't give a damn, I really don't, and you know, that sometimes is somewhat of the issue because, uh, you just got to watch what you say to folk, and you can't really let people say shit around you that you can't, that they're gonna be able to get away with. And I tend to cut people, short, or you know, till they dismiss them rather quickly if they, saying a bunch of nonsense around me. And so, those are the kind of things that are really important to me is you know dialogue. Having a be able to say things around people that you know make sense. And those things that don't make sense. But and like I said, I'm this process that I'm gonna be in for the next year. Uh, I got to work on. There's a lot of things I gotta uproot. I have to take my soul to the next phase. I mean, because my soul is here, is embedded in this nonsense, and from my point of view, and I think that uh, to try to move into something that's going to require actual physical, mental, and emotional, transformation. It's hard to believe. It's hard to achieve. So I'm hoping that this time next year, that all of the things that I talk about um, have some kind of root, have been somewhat unrooted, somewhat changed, somewhat refocused, recalibrated. Um, it's definitely going to be necessary, you know, to move forward. Um, uh, and I am moving forward. I will be moving forward. So we have about maybe 3 minutes left here, and I'll make sure that you know that you on the roof is on fire. We don't need no water, and this is the at Awakening Kinship. This is Damo Kofi Joe, your your craft creator, your craft designer, your craft, uh, you know, provider. Yeah. Doing it again. This is October 30th, 2024. Uh, so we got this in. I got a chance to talk to y'all. I got a chance to get something out. Eventually I'll get some likes. Eventually I might even get some subscribers to this. But I'm also documenting this for the future. Okay. Yeah, YouTube has some kind of control over it. I'm sure of that. So, you know, I'm just using their tool and their environment to create this in. Um, but the ideas are something that I feel comfortable in expressing on this channel. When it gets to the point where I can, hopefully I'll have my own airwaves. But until then, this is how I'm going to be doing it. This is how it's going down. Um, I hope the next month y'all will realize who's going to be the leader that's going to bring you to that's going to lead you back into more worse conditions that you're already in now. Because there's a lot of folks think that it's going to go one way. A lot of folks think it's going to go the other way. I really don't think it's going to go neither way. I think it's just going to go in the same way. There's always gone in. And we're going to be fooled by whoever gets up in there. And, I really don't have no opinion. You know, uh, I probably should, but, it ain't going to do me no good anyway because I ain't running things. I ain't controlling things. And they ain't neither. Okay. And we get caught up in that. So, but yeah, okay. So got about a minute left. This is Africa on. Definitely go to AfricaOnTheMove.com, AfricaOnTheMove.com to get all my links, all my socials, all my information, and look forward to next year when this art is exhibited. It will be called the Decolonizing the Space. Okay, take me to the next phase. Okay, and I'm really excited, looking forward to what comes out this next year in this work. And until then, uh, make sure that you all stay up. Stay focused. Move forward. Stay positive. And focus on some of them negative. Get rid of some of that negative things that you got in your head. find a way of flushing it down the toilet. Okay. Uh, so until next time, uh, stay creative, stay focused, and forward ever, backwards never.